I met a gypsy.
In late 2000s, when the economy tanked and the industry has come back, it's better, but it's still not where it was. And when there 2005, there was so much money in comparison. We don't have the entourages that we used to have.
Yeah.
And I think that has made a huge difference. And then maybe advent of social media and YouTube, people have realized they can make money by showing their personality and being cool.
Which that's super new though.
Yes.
Like that's really, really new.
Yeah,
like
we've
that's a
only
2019 deal.
Yes.
Which like we had Ando and Tom on here before, and it's like I think that they are changing the sport in such a positive way. Like I think that looking back, like Jason Anderson's a Supercross champion and he won a championship. I think he's going to be remembered as like a generational dude. Like he changed the sport in the same way that like people sort of want to say Dungey did, and that like they'll sort of say like the way that Ricky did. Like Ricky come along and he did this, and then because I thought it was interesting what
wow,
it's gonna be right in shot. Wes is gonna hate that.
You don't care. Stop. You're good.
And Josh Hill was saying that like so it was him and Lawrence, and they were like doing really good, but then Dunge beat him in the championship. Can you imagine the different fork in the road that the sport would have taken if like Josh Hill was winning the 450 championship and J Law kept winning 250 championships?
If they shut Dungey down,
and then it's like the whole Dungey era, like that doesn't even happen. And then Lawrence is in here saying like, oh, I just kind of got so sick of like everyone doing the same boring thing on the podium. And it's like, so now he's like already never even done a pro race and he's already got a tagline of like the whole donut thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's Jason Anderson and Dean Wilson.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I know what you're saying. When Anderson's done racing,
he's probably going to be more remembered for...
Yes. Okay, so anytime you hear somebody trains hard, they get referenced back to Carmichael.
Yep.
If you hear anyone super consistent, they get referenced back to Dungey.
Yeah.
And yes, 10 years from now, someone will be really cool in some way with fans, and they'll be like, oh, it's Jason Anderson style.
Yeah, it's like full Dino and Ando style all over again.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's like you need those, like, but one is a byproduct of the other, if that makes sense. Like you needed Ricky to do his thing first.
Oh, right.
And then Dunge come along and like took the influence from Ricky.
Yeah.
And then took it to that level.
Yeah.
And then because of Dunge, it's just constant cause and effect of like this kind of...
It is a real easy narrative for people like us to say that. Like, oh, it went too far one way, it's got to flip the other. But I think the real brilliance of what Anderson is doing, all he's doing is just showing it.
Yeah.
He's having more fun than guys at his level. But, dude, you've hung out with these guys during the week.
Yeah.
It's not as gnarly as people think.
No.
They're pretty chill.
Yeah.
He's just the first one smart enough to actually show us it.
And this is what we talked about then is like, I've been around him a lot to know that what you see on Team Fried, and same with Tom. Like Tom's been around for years, man. Yeah. And it's like
you probably work with him, I imagine.
100%.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm not like he's the same dude.
Yep.
But people think that like just because you're documenting, and I feel like it's sort of the same with me. Even like I was the same dude forever. Like the way I talk to these guys, the way I interact with them, the like partying. Like I'm the same guy, but I just edited my voice out of every interview like I've probably done more interviews than like most people, like between me and Wes.
Yeah.
And it's like I just cut my voice out of every one of them for 10 years and now you don't. Like nothing's different.
Yep.
And that's with Ando. And I think that's like the problem though, is that is the difference when you start doing shit. What's different? Oh, well, he's filming this YouTube thing now. Well, he's not acting any different. They're just documenting what he's always done. So it's not different. The only difference is they're putting it out. But people get held back because as soon as you start fucking around with videos, and all of a sudden that means you don't care about racing.
And that's the danger zone. And in an interview I had with Jason today, he said, he's like, I've been fortunate with Team Fried that my results have still been pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's aware that if he starts sucking, dude, the Team Fried thing, then some people are always going to love it, but some people are going to start pointing at it at a negative. And you mentioned it's Jason and Dino doing it, but poor Dino, here's the problem. Dino keeps getting hurt, and he keeps not getting the results that we know he's capable of. So I can tell you there are people in the industry that are like, the reason Dean Wilson isn't doing as well as he should is because he does this goofy stuff on Instagram. Now, you and I know that takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not training.
Yeah.
But you have to have the perfect storm. Anderson's good enough to do both.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people are confident enough that they're going to be able to pull both off. Because if you start sucking, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but you think about a kid like Jet.
Oh,
so
he
it's
care.
like right now, let's say we live in a land where Trey Kennard's racing.
Yeah.
Maybe Trey Kennard probably can't do both because it's like he's already in his career, he's got a routine, he's got the family.
Okay. Right.
So like if let's say the whole YouTube thing becomes like the next big thing and everyone's got to do the YouTube thing. Like there's guys where it's like Ando's that cool.
Yeah.
Like he is just that cool.
Yes.
Dino is that
you
cool.
got to have it.
And but nowadays I think that like a guy like Jet Lawrence, his mind's open. So like at a young age when he's still impressionable and he's still developing, he's like, okay, all right, I could see that. And now they've all grown up with the Snapchat and Instagram. Because like the way that like even the podcast, like this is how I just talk to people. Yeah. If we have a conversation and it's like the only thing that changes now is like your ability to broadcast. But I wonder what the effect will have just on the industry in general, especially like, dude, there's like big money to be made in the whole YouTube thing, man. Like big money. And the people that you can kind of be around if you've got like popping YouTube channels, like the merch that you can sell, like there's a lot of revenue to be made on it. Like look at me. I'm literally making a living off this shit and I'm not Jason Anderson. So it's like, imagine to the level at which that dude can make something like this work.
It's going to be a big bridge to cross, though, because one of the big things that I hear from fans all the time that I always have to correct them, they're always saying, the guys are supposed to get results, but ultimately they're marketing and PR people for their teams. And I say, no, man. When you talk to most teams, they're there for one reason and one reason only, and that is to get results. Being marketable does help a little bit. Maybe your gear deal's worth a little more. But the sport hasn't ever gotten to that tipping point where they are picking riders and supporting riders based on their profile. It's 99% of it is for results. Yeah, and the proof is that Dean Wilson last year, as prolific as he was, didn't even have a ride. Yeah. So I wonder, can we get to that point?
I think so.
Yeah, I hope so because this is so fun to have this stuff.
Well, you look at are you aware of Jackson Richardson stuff much?
No, does he do his own? I mean, I know who he is as a racer.
Jats Mix.
Like, oh, really? Okay.
He does like these fun ass videos. Like he's a funny motherfucker. All right. And like, so he got a Rockstar deal this year. They pretty much said like, we don't care. We don't really care. Like he's a privateer. Yeah. Privateer, all Rockstar, Nobby Underwear sponsors him. And they're literally like, don't care, just like be yourself. Be because he's the most watched rider in Australia. He's so interactive with Dean and like all of those big dudes that are doing anything over there, they love his shit.
Got it.
So it's like I think is like maybe one of the first dudes that's actually had some checks to race to just be like, dude, just be yourself because you're awesome and people really like it.
Now, the next thing then...
But granted, it's on a micro scale. You know what I mean? But it's like you can see it happening.
And let's be honest, Dean didn't have a factory ride, but he had sponsors.
Rockstar was still tipping him.
And he had his Ignite, and that wasn't going to happen without these other things.
No, for sure.
But the next thing would be, can the industry get to the point where they say, can we sell more dirt bikes because we have this Jason Anderson guy who maybe people who have zero interest in dirt bike racing at all would watch his stuff. Yeah. Hey, who's that? I don't know, some cool guy that races dirt bikes. Oh, dirt bikes are cool. What's he do?
Yeah.
And they might be more interested in that. And he's good enough. Like, they don't know how the sport works. They don't know if winning one race a year means you're unbelievable or just halfway decent. But he's good enough to check those boxes.
Yeah.
There is a chance that Team Fried could expose people more people to dirt bikes than some of the traditional.
Dude, Gypsy Tales has. Yeah. Like, I get messages... messages from chicks.
Non-dirt bike people.
No, because I do enough non-dirt. Like, it would be like 50-50 my content. Okay. So it's like 50-50 dirt bike. And then when I talk dirt bikes, I really don't talk dirt bikes. Like, it's not... We don't
do life
It's
stuff.
More just... it's just random shit. Yeah. And it's like we've got all of these people that will message and be like, oh, I'm going to watch Supercross this year. Like, there's people that they just don't know. They just like following the podcast. It's like a consistent thing that happens every twice a week. There's like new shit, and they're just like on board for like to watch the whole like ecosystem of Gypsy Tales. But I get that. I've got like one vegan chick. She's like a vegan, like a super famous vegan chick on Instagram. Okay. And she listens to the podcast and she's like, I think I'm going to watch Supercross this year.
And had nothing to do with it
Literally,
at all.
I just got a random message in my inbox of just like, she's like, oh yeah, I love the podcast, blah, 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 watching motocross. And I like, dude, I've got guys that have messaged me, one guy in particular, He said, I haven't owned a dirt bike in 15 years, and I just bought a new dirt bike because of Gypsy Tales. So it's like, that's, again, it's like, it's a super small scale compared to like the kind of platform that Ando has. Like, he's got nearly 1 million followers on Instagram. He's a Supercross champion. He's on national television in America every single week. It's like, so if I'm influencing that shit, imagine what Team Fried is doing.
And we have learned, for example, say I like basketball. I like the NBA. But I have now gotten to the point where I know I can learn more about it by listening to a podcast of experts talking about it than I can watching the games. So I am now following the sport through a completely different metric than used to be the case. And maybe that's the case with YouTube. There's that phenomenal F1 documentary series that was on Netflix.
Insane, eh?
800% more interesting than watching the races themselves. But if you're the sport, you've got to realize that that's okay. That whatever way they're seeing us and interacting with us is okay. So I hope we can bridge that gap and everyone can embrace what Anderson is doing and say, dude, as crazy as live Supercross television is, this is potentially better or at least the same in some way.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.